Picture a wild stretch of the Wyoming Territory in 1876, where the spring river roars with melted snow, its waters swollen and fierce, a beast awakened from winter slumber. The banks are soft with thawing mud, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and pine, the sky a bruised gray streaked with the promise of rain. Along the river's edge, a cluster of settlers' cabins huddles like frightened children, their log walls weathered and patched with desperation. The wind carries whispers of hardship, of a land too harsh for mercy. Lydia Harper, a widow of 38 with hollowed cheeks and dark hair tangled from grief, stumbles toward the river's edge. Her worn cotton dress, once a soft blue, clings to her frame, torn at the sleeves from months of toil, her bare feet caked with mud. The settlers, 4 rough men with grizzled beards and tattered coats, surround her, their faces twisted with malice. "She's cursed us with her bad luck," snarls Jed Carver, a burly man of 45, his voice rough as gravel, his hat askew. "No man'll take her land. Now she's alone, drown her. And it's ours." They seize her arms, their hands like iron clamps, dragging her toward the churning water. Lydia's breath catches, her eyes wide with terror. But she doesn't scream, only a soft whimper escapes as they hurl her into the icy current. The river swallows her dress billowing like a drowned flower, her body tumbling like a stone caught in a merciless whirlpool. Her arms don't flail, her lips don't part for a cry. Just silence, as if she's already surrendered to the deep. From the ridge, a horse thunders down, its hooves pounding the earth like war drums. Astride it is Eleanor Vance, a wealthy widow of 42, her auburn hair pinned beneath a wide-brimmed hat, her emerald green riding skirt swirling with authority, her leather gloves gripping the reins. Her gray eyes flash with fury, her presence a storm breaking over the valley. "Release her, you cowards," she shouts, her voice cutting through the wind. She leaps from the saddle, her boots hitting the mud with a squelch, and draws a pearl-handled pistol from her belt, its barrel glinting in the pale light. The settlers freeze, Jed's hand hovering over his own gun. But Eleanor's aim is steady. "Back off, or I'll paint this bank with your blood," she warns, her tone a blade's edge. The men hesitate, then scatter like startled deer, muttering curses as they retreat into the trees. Eleanor wades into the river, the cold biting her legs like 1,000 needles, her breath hitching as the current tugs at her skirt. Her hands plunge into the water, grasping Lydia's limp form, the wet fabric slipping through her fingers before she finds purchase on an arm. "Hold on," she gasps, her muscles straining as she hauls Lydia to shore. The widow's body is a lifeless weight, her skin gray as ash, her black hair fanning out like seaweed. Eleanor drops to her knees, water streaming from her own clothes, and presses her hands to Lydia's chest, pumping with desperate rhythm. Once, twice then, a sputter, a cough, water and mud gushing from Lydia's mouth as she curls into herself, shivering but alive. Eleanor wraps her in a dry cloak from her saddlebag, her touch gentle but firm. "You're safe now," she murmurs, her voice softening, though her eyes scan the trees for threats. Lydia doesn't meet her gaze, her eyes fixed on the river, a stillness in them that chills Eleanor's soul. The rescuer kneels beside her, soaked and trembling, her hat lost to the current, her hair plastered to her face. "Why'd they do this?" Eleanor asks, her voice low but fierce. Lydia's lips part, a whisper barely audible. My land. They wanted it. Said, I'm no use without a man. Eleanor's jaw tightens, a fire igniting in her chest. Then they'll answer to me. She helps Lydia to her feet, the widow's legs shaky, her bare feet bleeding on the sharp stones. Eleanor lifts her onto the horse, climbing up behind, her arms a protective cage around Lydia's frail form. They ride toward Eleanor's sprawling ranch, a grand house of timber and stone, its windows glowing like beacons against the dusk. Inside, a fire crackles in the hearth, casting shadows on the rough-hewn walls. Eleanor strips off her wet gloves, her hands red from the cold, and tends to Lydia, wrapping her in a blanket, brewing tea from a tin kettle. Lydia sits silent, her hands clasped tight, her dress still dripping. You didn't have to save me, she murmurs, her voice raw. Eleanor pauses, her eyes meeting Lydia's. I couldn't let them win, she says, her tone steady but laced with emotion. I've lost too much to watch another woman broken. The air thickens with unspoken pain. Eleanor's late husband, a cattle baron, left her widowed and wealthy but lonely. Lydia's own loss. A husband claimed by fever, now compounded by betrayal. As night falls, Eleanor's foreman, a grizzled man named Amos, rides in with news the settlers are rallying, planning to claim the land by force. Eleanor's resolve hardens. She turns to Lydia, her voice firm. Marry me. Today, it'll bind our lands, protect you and me. Lydia's eyes widen, a flicker of hope breaking through her numbness. You'd do that, she whispers. For us both, Eleanor replies, her hand brushing Lydia's. They stand before Amos, who mutters the vows, his voice gruff but solemn. The ring, a simple gold band from Eleanor's past, slides onto Lydia's finger, sealing a union born of survival, not love. The firelight dances on their faces, a fragile peace settling over the room. But as the clock strikes midnight, a knock shatters the silence sharp, insistent. Eleanor opens the door, pistol in hand, to find Jed Carver, bloodied and wild-eyed, a knife gleaming in the moonlight. You stole her land, he snarls. Before Eleanor can react, a twist emerges behind Jed. Stands a woman, Lydia's sister, Clara, her face pale and tear-streaked. I led them here, Clara confesses, her voice breaking. I thought you'd sold the land. I didn't know they'd try to kill you. The revelation hangs heavy, a betrayal and a plea, leaving Eleanor and Lydia to face a new storm as the night closes in.